You know who else was fighting for his life, and he decided to throw in the towel, and that's Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett has decided to throw in the towel in Cleveland. He's tired of them leaving.
Are we doing this again in
man.
Detroit? Are we really doing this again here in Detroit, Bray?
Yes, we are.
Why?
So let me ask you this. What is this in Detroit? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the way that these guys are building this team.
Okay.
The way that they have built it from the start. They have given no one, aside from Jared Goff, a 3-year deal. Ever. Unless you played for them or you were drafted by them, they are not breaking the bank for an unknown player. Obviously, we know who he is, but we don't know who he is as a Lion in the locker room down in Allen Park.
Sure we do.
Do some players are they above that
Yes.
though?
Well, and it's not about that with him. It's partly about that, but it's a huge part in regard to capital draft picks. These draft picks are so crucial with a team that is about to be up against a wall, because what have they done? They've drafted really damn well, and now they got to pay these guys. We're sitting over here arguing whether or not we, pick 2, get rid of 1, and then we're talking about J-Mo, Kirby, or Hutch. Those are guys you want to have here. Now, I know that the way that the salary works for Myles Garrett, that we get some relief somewhat soon. I just don't see this Detroit Lions front office moving first-round picks, multiple, for a guy like Myles Garrett, no matter how good he is. Now, if you can get a team to take on a Hendon Hooker with a first-round pick, you might have a deal.
That ain't happening.
But you got to get the right buyer in that situation, which could maybe be the Raiders, and maybe you could talk about Max Crosby. But listen, Detroit Lions fans, stop this. You've done it for 2 damn years, and now you're about to do it for a 3rd. This is not the way these guys are building this franchise. You watch so many of these guys, Khalil Mack, and these guys that make all this money and get all this capital in exchange for them, and where are these teams? They're fighting for just to get in the playoffs at this point.
Listen to me,
and
man.
if you guys do that, if these Lions do that for a major player like this once or 2 times, you pull back everything that you've done.
How many draft picks do you need to make your team?
Right.
At this
Constant
point,
draft picks for the
listen
next
to me.
decade.
At this point, do you think Myles Garrett might have been able to maybe corral Jaden Daniels if you had him? Do you think maybe?
Wouldn't have been enough to beat the Eagles.
You don't know that.
But you would have got there.
You don't know that.
But you would have got there.
How many more rookies can you fit on this team? How many more draft picks can you fit on this team?
How many more $15 to $30 million guys can you fit on this team?
I realize that. And to get Myles Garrett, we know you have to sign Hutch. You know you got to sign either J-Mo or Kirby or Branch eventually. One of them probably got to go then. But I'll take one of them to go to get a guy like Myles Garrett.
Okay, so what's the deal? Two picks?
Listen, this was Dan Patrick's show earlier today. All right? Albert Breer from the Monday Morning Quarterback on that show, and he threw this out to Dan Patrick.
All right, final 30 seconds. We're going to play the Myles Garrett game later on. Where will he go? I'll let you have your...
My favorite destination would be Detroit.
Oh.
I just think about that. Like I'm like they're in a spot now where they don't need their first round pick. They don't really need to keep stocking. They may be in a position where if you're them, you could almost say like we may only have 5 or 6 rookies make our team. You know what I mean? Like so are they in a position now where it's like we can start to flip picks. If you're them and you lost all of these coaches and you want to flip the momentum and kind of keep things going in the right direction. I mean, God, the idea of Myles Garrett opposite Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, like that to me is really intriguing. And so, I mean, I think Detroit's in this championship window. And like, they had so much momentum. And then the ugly loss to Washington. And they lose 6 or 7 coaches. And it's like, looks like, oh, God, are they missing their window? What's the easiest way to flip that?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought he had some good points. Albert Breer.
I agree.
I think Albert Breer has some great points. I think what Detroit fans need to stop doing, since you want to point out what they need to stop doing, you included, stop thinking that the only way that you're going to win the title is going to be through the draft. Like, I understand that the Lions have built through the draft. The team has been great. You haven't spent money, and it's benefited you. You've had picks. You've had cash. You've been able to do some things. So I understand that. But you got to understand, Anson, like, you're going to have to make a move at some point. Maybe this isn't the move.
Who did the Chiefs trade for?
Frank Clark in the middle of the season, and paid Frank Clark. And he won them 2 Super Bowls. He's the all-time leader in sacks in the Super Bowl. I can't remember exactly.
Does it matter?
Second round pick and something. They won the Super Bowl twice.
It does matter because giving up.
Anson, hold on. Hear me out. I'm not even getting upset. Why can't you at least? I said maybe this isn't the move, but at some point there will be a trigger that you're going to have to pull. At least accept that.
Oh, I'm down for trades,
Yeah,
but I just when I see these trades stack up on
But
these,
what trade has been like this one? Where you're getting a Myles Garrett. If you would have had Myles Garrett on this team this year, you would have been in the NFC Championship.
And I'm not upset.
Right.
What is the trade then? 3 first-rounders? 2?
It's not 3. It's 2.
Because I've seen 3 and Hendon Hooker or 3 and another player. I've seen 2, which is more palatable. Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying that I would be against giving up a number 29 pick. Or actually, what are we picking? 27 now or something like that?
Isn't the objective to win the Super Bowl?
It is the objective to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But I do think that there's some confusion from Detroit fans because the pure objective that they had bringing this new regime in was to change the culture
and they've changed it.
100%. But changing it, like, hey, I asked everybody last year, if we lose in the first round of the playoffs next year, are we SOL? And everyone here said yes. And then I got crucified the week after we lost in the first round of the playoffs for saying it was still SOL. All right? When you look at this team, what they are doing is selling tickets, selling jerseys, continued fan and national interest, something that this franchise has never, ever had. And they have come up short. They have come up short. The quickest way to come up short for multiple years is to give up massive capital for one player for 1 or 2 years.
And the quickest way to never get a Super Bowl is to be scared to pull that trigger and hold on to cash.
And I don't have a problem pulling triggers.
They would have to re-sign him, by the way. Not 2 or 3 years.
What I am saying is that the Detroit Lions brass is not interested.
But you were interested in Max Crosby, though.
Huh?
Weren't you interested in Max Crosby?
You mean earlier in the season?
Yeah.
No, I told everybody y'all on crack.
Okay.
It's been 2 straight years of everybody thinking that this administration is just going to give up a bunch of capital to bring in Khalil Mack type players.
Khalil Mack would be a lot cheaper than Myles Garrett.
But I'm okay with trades. Yeah. And I think that this franchise is okay with trades. I just don't see this franchise being run by who it's run, looking to give up 2 or 3 major first-round picks or 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders. I don't see them doing what the Rams did.
Would you rather him go to another team that you have to beat? Would you rather him go?
The Eagles.
I was just about to bring that
the
up.
Commanders.
Yeah, because Ermanni
It's
said
also
that
about
yesterday.
keep away.
Yeah, because Ryan said that yesterday. His thing was we need to get them, honestly, as defense, well, no pun intended, for other teams like the Eagles or somebody else to get them so we won't have to go against them. And in my opinion, I think we should give him whatever he wants because we got to get a Super Bowl quick. I think if we go through draft picks, maybe a couple years down the line, that'll pay off. But let's be real. If we don't get a Super Bowl next year, we're all going to be in trouble.
Hey, a couple super chats from Rando Smalls. Thank you, Rando. You've been all over the board today. He says, go get Garrett, and we lose 2 to 3 players we draft. He says, no deal. Then he says, when was the last time a free agent worked out here? So, Rando, you got your opinion.
But the problem is you can't say when the last time it worked here. Like, at some point, something works. Regardless of what, at some point, you're going to win.
You just brought up Frank Clark.
At some point, you win. So you can't say don't do it because it's never worked here. It's worked other places. You can't say that it hasn't worked here. Like, at some point, the run that we thought we were going to be on forever, like, oh, my God, this run's going to last for 7 and 8 years, and this, that, and the third. Well, guess what? Your offensive coordinator's gone. Your defensive coordinator's gone. Your wide receivers coach is gone. This coach is gone. That coach is gone. Now Dan Campbell has to make a decision. What type of coach is Dan Campbell without those guys? What does the system look like? What does the defense look like coming back this year with no Aaron Glenn? Well, we know Kelvin Shepard was on the staff, and we believe in Kelvin Shepard as a linebackers coach and a great leader, but is he the defensive coordinator? Like, in this space you're in, it went from, they're going to win the Super Bowl, this is going to last forever, to losing to the Commanders, and everybody's starting to be like,
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, what's going on? And these are actual real and they're valid concerns.
Yes.
So if you got a chance to get a Myles Garrett, and it works out for you, grab Myles Garrett. Because grab Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil in the middle makes it that much easier for the secondary. You're going to have a good defense in the Super Bowl. This idea that we were going to win the Super Bowl with the defense we had this year is ludicrous. The idea that we were going to win the Super Bowl with the 2 years ago is ludicrous. The teams that get to the dance, their defenses are stacked 100%. Look at the Eagles. Look at Chris Jones and the Chiefs. Look at when the Rams were in it with Bobby Wagner and Von Miller and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. You're gonna have to have a defense that can contain one of those type of quarterbacks. If it's Lamar, Josh, or probably number 15 from the Chiefs.
I agree with everything that you said, and to clarify, because I'm sure without looking, the chat is wanting to murder me right now.
And
I would love to have Max Crosby.
Anson does not deserve to get murdered.
I would love to have Myles Garrett. If I got to give up a first and a second rounder and swap some picks like the Chiefs did for Frank Clark, I don't have an issue with that. What I am saying is there is absolutely nothing in this regime's track record that would suggest they are willing to do this. And let me ask you this, Bray, because you could answer this better than I could even with 20 minutes on the computer. Outside of Matt Stafford, is there a multiple first-round pick trade that culminated in a Super Bowl?
No, because I think it's foreign. To answer your question, no.
I don't think that there are.
It's still relatively new territory. You know, Matt Stafford was 2021, so it's still a relatively new territory, but you're absolutely right. As of now, I do not believe it's been 1v1 and you've gotten a deal like that. I do not believe that.
Hey, I got some more super chats that are coming in. Hot and
Von
heavy.
Miller, though, but that was during the season.
Hey,
though.
you know what?
Here's an answer.
Go ahead.
Steve Robertson, thank you, man. 30 years of first-round knockouts will be considered SOL. SOL is dead. Same old Anson. And Andre Dickerson, his first time hitting us up. Thanks, Andre. Think of it this way. We already drafted our two next first-rounders in J-Mo and Jack Campbell. We're not losing draft picks in that reality.
Same old Anson is what you always will get, which is consistency. And I need to see the Lions in the Super Bowl because they've never been to one out of 59. And you guys they won't lose in the first round next year. So, yeah, I'll say that they're SOL if they do. Fact is, this regime has changed the culture and the expectations in this city. And if we get to the playoffs and we have another 12-win season, but we don't win a Super Bowl, no one's giving up their season tickets, Bray.
Yeah.
No one's burning, except for maybe some 14-year-old kid on TikTok. Nobody's burning their jerseys with any kind of earnestness. Like, we love this team. We loved them when they were 0-16. We loved them when they were 15-2. The SOL thing is just funny to me because every year Lions fans lower the bar or raise the bar for wherever it is that they can make themselves sleep at night and tell themselves that this team is not SOL. The fastest way to SOL, in my opinion, is to take draft picks away from Dan and Brad.
What say you on the draft picks?
I'm saying that we've already reached the point of we're already there. I don't want any more. Look, if I get a Jared Verse, okay, I'll take him. You're picking at 27 or 28. I don't know if a guy like that is going to be there to impact your team for right away. Myles Garrett puts you over the top defensively. Kelvin Shepard will come in here and he'll have his pick of the litter on how to attack the offense next year if you get a guy like Myles Garrett. Listen, Cleveland is up against it, guys. They killed themselves with the Deshaun Watson trade. They gave up 3 number 1 picks. Get 2 of those back, maybe a player in return. I don't know what it would take to get this guy to come over here, and I would give him whatever the hell he wants. It's $300 million, and make sure that you match it.
What would you give, Maz?
Whatever the going rate is.
But what would you give? What's your cutoff point? 2
first-round picks and maybe a guy like a Hendon Hooker.
And you don't think that other franchises are willing to pay more?
They might. They might. But maybe Myles Garrett don't want to go to them.
For me, it's only 3 players off limits in the trade. Like, it's only 3 players that will be off limits for me for the Detroit Lions. That's Pineda, that's Amon-Ra, and that's Gibbs.
I'm with you.
Everybody else, including 97, will be on the table.
Ooh, no, not Hutch.
You talking about Myles Garrett in his prime and still in his prime, or Aiden Hutchinson, and maybe he'll come back and be this player? This is my opinion. I take Myles Garrett. You can have Aiden Hutchinson.
You giving up Hutchinson and a pick?
No.
I want both.
No,
Ray.
I'm doing one. I'm doing 1v1. If that would be my Luka AD.
Okay.
I would go 1 for 1.
Interesting.
I would go 1 for 1 because you're essentially trading a guy that could have been Defensive Player of the Year, but he got hurt.
Says the Wolverine.
Hey,
well, Aiden don't really like Michigan either.
you know what we missed last week? We didn't get a chance to talk about David Shaw.
Yeah.
The Lions went out and got themselves a passing game coordinator, basically picking up for Tanner Engstrom. They got David Shaw, the former Stanford head coach, obviously an assistant coach throughout the league, knows Dan Campbell real well. Matter of fact, his dad used to be a part of this staff back in the day. What's your take on that move?
I don't want to say anything disrespectful. I want to look at his resume and look at his concepts a little more. But the first thought is, what does he know about the passing game? He's always had running quarterbacks and running backs. David Shaw had 2 running backs that rushed for over 2,000 yards. Like he had Andrew Luck, or not Andrew Luck, the following quarterback after Andrew Luck. They didn't have a passing game at Stanford, so that would be my first thought.
Well, him and John Morton work together. John Morton, your OC now, so maybe John Morton, that's his comfort level.
Okay.
We really didn't hear about Tanner Engstrom, right? Him and Ben Johnson were together, but now they're split up because Tanner is in New York and Ben is in Chicago. So Aaron Glenn and Tanner were, I guess, buddy, because that's the way it shook out. So you don't really know. I don't even know what a passing game coordinator really does, to tell you the truth.
Is he the OC in the Jets, or is he the passing game coordinator with the Jets?
No, he's the OC.
Yeah, that's a better move.
Yeah.
Like, that's a much better move. If you go to the Chicago Bears, Maz, you're only OC by name and title. It's really Ben Johnson. Same as if you play for Sean Payton, or same as if you Sean McVay. If you go to the Jets, like, this is going to be his offense. He'll work this out with Aaron Rodgers, and this will be his imprint, which gets you hired.
Yep.
You OC by just title, you're not going to become a head coach that way. Like, this is his team, so that's probably why he made that move.
Yeah, and the Jets also signed Steve Wilks. We didn't mention that last
Steve Wilks
week.
is a hell of a defensive coordinator.
He's a defensive coordinator. He used to be the head coach over in Arizona. Probably didn't get a fair shake over there. But now Aaron Glenn's putting together a heck of a staff over there.
Arizona looked a lot different without Steve Wilks.
Dan and Brad, we trust. Everybody had a hard time with the whole flight of former player coaches that they brought in when they first got here. We know how that's worked out. I have paid very little attention to the coaching carousel because I know that our guys are going to get it right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know that they get it right. Eventually, I'm praying that they get it right. I think 2 things can be true. When you went after just throwing a lot of money at people for the Lions, it didn't work. It didn't fully work. It worked a little bit, it didn't fully work. When you went the draft route, as we're doing now, got close, but it didn't fully work. At some point, you can integrate the two, and it's called learning. Brad Holmes has been here. This is now his fifth draft. This would be 21, 22. Yeah, this would be his 5th draft. So I think it looks different. I think this would be his 4th off season, if you will. They'll make some moves and changes. Like your whole slate of what you are, it evolves over time. So we'll see.
Hey, Steve Robertson, another $10 to the chat. Defending Anson. In all fairness, Anson has agreed. It's not the same old Lions culture. All love here.
Yeah, and I've said that, man. It is absolutely brand new that we can expect